So I just watched a video by Some Ordinary Gamer, and he is talking about how he has been trying different games, comparing them to older games, and he's a little frustrated with how his old games are actually outperforming these new games. Some of the newer games' graphics are almost worse than the old games. Most of what he's complaining about is this technology that allows people to, I don't know how to say this, generate frame rates. That's such a stupid idea. But anyway, it is a thing we deal with. Yeah. He's talking about how they can't be bothered to fix this technology, and it really got under my skin because he's wrong. And we'll get into that here, because I started to write a comment, it got a little long, stretched out, and I was like, okay, hold on, let's bring it back, focus on specific parts, and long story short, now I'm making a video. So we're going to be using Jurassic Park as an example for this. I don't know how many of you have watched the movie of Jurassic Park. I'm going to guess it's a fair number of you. There's something about Jurassic Park that just people like to watch it. There is this famous scene where, what is his name? Jeffrey Goldblum's character. Anyway, the Must Go Faster guy. He's talking about, in the movie, he talks about it, but they don't do it very much. If I remember right, and it has been a long time since I read it, but the book goes into it in more detail. It's kind of a driving point of the story, if I remember right. And the theme of the book is a lot of this, we're building on the backs of other people, which is how technology works. If someone 100 years ago developed, the way to split atoms, create lots of energy, we can take that and use it to build newer things in the modern age that make it better for everyone. Yay! Do you understand how that works? The answer's probably no, unless you're a nuclear physicist. I myself have studied it a little, and enough to know that I am really out of my depth here. Is it something I can never understand? No, I can probably understand it, but I don't really want to. And that's not the point. The point is that I know enough, I could probably build off what they've done and use it to make something different. And that is the point of concern. I probably shouldn't use my relatively undeveloped knowledge to make something out of, an advanced, complicated theory. Now, all of this is to explain why the somewhat merry gamer guy is wrong. Because he keeps saying, they can't be bothered to fix this. Well, if I had to pick a single scientific field that has this problem more than any other scientific field, programming is probably the one that wins. Maybe suffers is the better word. I can guarantee that you can find a programmer who is extremely accomplished at what they program, and they can do it better than anyone else, but they don't know how everything works that they're using, like the layers that are built into it. The reason I can say this is that I've been on the other side of this. I'm not what you would call a real programmer. I'm probably something like a hobbyist programmer. But I have had conversations with real programmers, and I know my recommendations have ended up in code. And I have had to walk them through it on how it works. And that's kind of my point. A lot of what I have done is probably developing an operating system. Why? Well, probably because I'm a little bit insane. But a man's got to have something to do, right? Now, serious. I've always wanted to program video games, but I guarantee you 90% of them, 99 maybe, 90% of programmers, they can't tell you how everything works. They can't build an operating system. They can't build the tools. I've studied a lot, And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Just like the way partitioning works, like actually works. I guarantee you most programmers don't actually know how it works. How the structure works, how the arrays work, the database. I guarantee they don't know. Unless you're like the guy who programs Grub. There's maybe 5-6 people on the planet who have a really, really good grasp of how that stuff works at a very fundamental level. And you may go, oh no, that's not possible. I'll be like, oh yeah, actually it is. Because guess what? We don't need somebody to help us start operating systems because we've been using it. Strangely enough, we need people who can make pretty interfaces for people to interact with. Do we actually need a really innovative design to how a computer starts? No, not really. But I have been involved enough to know that there are things out there that I have implemented and other people use, and as far as I can tell, they're still being used today. They're not revolutionary, they're not crazy, they're not super advanced. It's just something that I come up with, and I'm like, oh, here's how it works, and I can just show someone how to do it. And they're like, oh, how'd you do that? Well, it was easy for me. I know this because when I interact with someone who writes computer code for the internet, I have much the same experience. I have tried to figure out how the internet works. I have studied it a lot. I have spent thousands of hours working on internet protocol stuff, and I'm going to be honest, today it drives me crazy. I understand all the principles, all the mechanics, everything that goes into it, but if you actually ask me to program something in it, I can do some spiders and stuff, but I mean, that's cool, but if you actually want me to develop the software that operates this spider, that's a little out of my league. Do I understand how computers interact? Yeah. Do you want me to develop the software that can inject itself into that process and take it over? Can I? Probably. And I say probably because, I cannot think of a more unpleasant thing to do in my entire life. I am pretty sure I'd rather do anything but that. It would be miserable. And I can equally guarantee that someone is listening to this who, if more than like 5 people watch this video, hey, could you hit the like button? I'm a small channel, help a guy out. But anyway, if enough people watch this video, I guarantee one of these people will be like, oh yeah, I know how to do it. I know how to like it. It's fun. I can do it all day. And it only takes me like 5 minutes to actually write the code. And I'll be like, I hate you. But then again, I can do that with my pieces of code. And this is where I'm going with this channel being wrong when he says they can't be bothered with this. No. They cannot do it. It's not they can't be bothered. They cannot do it. Okay? We have built so many things into the technology that at this point, I am very comfortable saying that they probably don't have anyone on staff who really, maybe they have a contractor. If they're lucky, they have one on retainer, who the contractor wrote the code, but no one on the actual staff understands how this works. If you write code that actually works and does what it wanted to do, great. But if you use code from someone else, and then you plug it into your stuff to try and fix the problem, but it's not really designed for what you're doing, you're just kind of tweaking it to make it work, congratulations, you're doing like what 99% of programmers do. You're not really programming, you're just taking other people's stuff and using it. That's not a crime, by the way. My point is that there are layers upon layers upon layers of technology built into the computer code, building computer games. He's complaining about, okay, why are they doing it this generative stuff? Well, they're probably trying to do it because They want to find new boundaries, new things. They're trying to change the development side of things. In other words, the hardware, that kind of thing. But then you have this big, long path from new hardware. For example, if like that AI stuff that NVIDIA is pushing, we don't want to go there. I'm just trying to introduce a concept. Yeah, they've been trying to push this technology, this new improved systems that are going to be better than the old stuff. Because rather than just ham-fisting it through all of it, we're going to use software that can understand what we want it to do without us having to program it to do it. And man, that just sounds so stupid when you say it out loud. We're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going there. That is a rabbit trail we are not going down. My point is, if we radically change the hardware that is going into the computer, and we try to radically change the software, you have at least 10 layers of programmers working on 10 different projects, all with very different goals, just to get to where the game is. Like the programmer programming the game. We're not talking about the development process of the game. No. We're just talking about getting to that point. Layer 1's the grub way back there. Anyway, guy way at the beginning built something that interacts with someone else, which interacts with someone else, which interacts with someone else, and all of these people are a very small community. They're not big at all. They all know each other. I think some of them know me, too. Well, if you're listening, hopefully you like me? Yeah. We're not going there either. See, but that is an important thing to drive home. These people have to work together to some degree, but they all have different goals, different objectives, different methodologies, different styles, different jobs. And this is all going on behind the scenes. I guarantee most people have never even touched this stuff. And, man, there was a big hack a while back. Oh, what was it called? This would have been like 5-6 years ago. And everyone's like, oh no, it'll never happen. And then it happened. Millions of computers were compromised. And everyone's like, oh yeah, it happened. That whole thing happened because people were using a guy's code freely, because he gave it to them freely on GitHub. And then someone interacted with his code on GitHub and was able to inject code into it and a virus into that code. And from there, it got automatically updated to all computers everywhere, and it created all sorts of havoc. All because one guy was writing code on GitHub, publishing it to his thing on GitHub, which is all perfectly normal. And people were just taking a shortcut and using his code because it already did what they needed it to do. Whether you like it or not, guess what? This is how it works. Maybe the Grub Guys team is 5 people, maybe 10. I doubt it, though. It's generally just one guy, and maybe has 1 or 2 people help him do stuff he needs to do. But when they need the actual code, the programming done in a meaningful way, they go to this one guy. What happens when he dies? Who takes over? I'm sure there's someone out there who can figure out his code, and I'm sure that there's someone who can understand it and enjoy it and pick it up. But where do they start? Do they start with, okay, I'm going to pick it up where he left it off, or I need to start over? And again, I've seen it, been there, watched it happen. The developers of video games are all trying to push boundaries, but so are the developers of everything else. Getting all of this stuff to play nice is incredibly difficult. And when you fundamentally alter the hardware that goes into this process in a way that completely changes everything that's been done before, well, yeah, it's going to create some hiccups. Can the game developers figure out how to fix it? Theoretically, yeah. Can they really do it? I doubt it. Anyway, thanks for listening. If that made any sense, say it made sense in the comment. And if it didn't make sense, which I'm kind of expecting, I'm expecting you guys to be like, hey, you're an idiot. So you just leave it in the comments. Have a great day, guys.